Will from eMTB here, and today we're reviewing the 2021 Trek Rail 9.8 XT. It's got the updated Bosch Gen4 motor, the all-new RockShox ZEB fork, and some other new componentry. There's lots to talk about, so let's dive in. The rail pairs 160mm of front travel with 150mm of travel in the rear, and it features Bosch's updated Performance Line CX motor. This motor has had a firmware update, updating the torque from 75 Nm to 85 Nm, and also a couple of software tweaks in the eMTB mode with a feature called Extended Boost. The best way to explain how Extended Boost works is to give you an example from the trail. Around here where we tested the bike in northern Sydney, there's a lot of ledgy climbs, and when you're putting those sort of stabby half cranks in to get up and over features, the Extended Boost just gives you that little bit of extra drive when you've stopped pedaling to get you up and over obstacles. We found in practice that the Extended Boost paired with the additional torque made a massive difference to the bike, particularly in those technical climbing sections. The updated motor is paired with Bosch's 625 watt-hour power tube battery. It's the biggest and most efficient battery that Bosch do, and it really does last quite a long time. When you pair that with the eMTB mode, which sort of senses your power and really is in line and intuitive with the way you're riding the trail, we found that the battery had quite a long life. Moving back to the front of the bike, the Rail 9.8 comes with RockShox's all-new ZEB fork. This fork features 38mm stanchions and is significantly burlier than the Lyric that came on the 2020 model. We found out on the trail that this was a real help when we were sort of bombing through rough sections and trying to hold onto our line, as well as hard on the brakes in steeper sections of trail. We think that the ZEB really matches the character of the Rail as an aggressive e-mountain bike that suits that sort of all-mountain enduro-focused rider. Moving to the rear suspension of the bike, the shock is a custom RockShox Super Deluxe Air. It's the through shaft variant that Trek use. It's actually the same shock that comes on the new Slash that Ben Morrison reviewed for us. He was a big fan of the shock, and so am I. It comes with tons of adjustability, but at the same time the bass tune is absolutely fantastic. When you're riding the bike, this through shaft shock combined with Trek's active braking pivot suspension design means the bike is really active under braking and super supple off the top as well. So we were really impressed by the shock's performance. Moving on to the controller for the motor, it's Bosch's Kiox display, which is a relatively new display from them, and it's a big upgrade over the Purion that came on last year's model. Trek have cleverly integrated the Kiox display behind the cockpit of the bike, so it's out of the way of impacts, and it's stayed on throughout the entire testing period. The new Kiox display is sort of more akin to a Garmin Edge 520 or a Wahoo head unit, and it gives you all the data that you could possibly need. It's actually got a power meter inbuilt to it, which is fantastic, and you can pair your heart rate monitor as well if that's your thing. The drivetrain is a full Shimano XT M8100. We love this from Trek. They don't skimp on the cassette or the chain, and what that delivers is fantastic shifting performance, and there's really nothing to say about the drivetrain other than that it worked flawlessly throughout the whole of testing. The brakes are Shimano SLX. Once again, nothing to be said. These brakes are fantastic. They deliver power in spades with their 203mm rotors, and they're a 4-piston brake as well, so fantastically suited to this bike. The wheels are Bontrager Line Comp 30 wheels. They're a carbon wheel set, which can sometimes be a worry on an aggressive bike like this. However, they've been absolutely flawless for us. They have tasted the Northern Beaches rocks a couple of times. Sorry about that, Trek. But that being said, as I said, they've held up well, they haven't lost tension, and they've got a great ride quality to them. The wheels are shod in Bontrager SE5 team issue tyres, which are a meaty tyre, but they've got a good amount of traction, great braking predictability, and they also wear quite well, so no complaints there either. The geometry of the rail is gravity oriented. I'm 185 centimeters tall and I've been on the extra large size. The geometry is adjustable via Trek's MinoLink technology that they use on a lot of their bikes. So it's got the low setting if descending is going to be your main focus, and it's got that higher setting if you're going to be sort of riding more general undulating terrain. We found the low setting worked best for us and for the aggressive nature of this bike. So some key numbers on the XL model. It's a 64.5 degree head angle in the low setting, so quite slack. It's got a 495mm reach, so quite stretched out, but when you're actually riding the bike aggressively standing up, it doesn't feel overly long. The rear end of the bike is a 448mm chainstay in the low setting, and that is something that Trek deserve to be commended on. It's very difficult to have such a short chainstay on an e-bike, generally due to the motor. However, with the pretty small Bosch motor, Trek have been able to make that chainstay length relatively short. Where this helps out on the trail is when you're changing lines from a low line to a high line, or you're insiding a corner, just anything where you're trying to sort of be more playful and agile on the bike. That shorter rear end really keeps the bike in check. Overall, the geometry, particularly in the low setting, is aggressive and gravity oriented, and it really wants you to go after the trail to get the most out of it. If you sort of sit back and relax on the descents, the front end can feel a touch long, the bike can get away from you a bit, but when you're an active and committed pilot of this bike, it really gives back in spades and allows you to hammer those descents. When climbing, this bike is an absolute beast. As we mentioned earlier, the extended boost software update, as well as the additional torque of the Bosch motor, help you get up and over just about anything. On the trail, some e-bikes have a tendency for that rear wheel to lose traction and spin out, particularly when you're over the front of the bike. We found that with the extended boost feature, as well as the incredible sensitivity of this bike's shock, that really wasn't happening. We were able to half crank our way up really technical climbs, and that rear wheel was maintaining traction really well. Overall, the 2021 Trek Rail 9.8 XT is a great all-around e-mountain bike, but one that definitely relishes the descents. There are two aluminium models of this bike that come in at a lower price. However, this fully carbon 9.8 model retails for 11,799 Australian dollars. If you'd like to know more about the 9.8, click the link below to read our full written review. Don't forget to like and subscribe to eMTB for more reviews, and thanks for watching. Cheers everyone.